Doesn't matter.
He did, but when he responded, he said maybe, so he might not be locked on. Okay.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Let's all stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Writing today's students' opportunities to become tomorrow's leaders. Any public comments? Okay, we have a special presentation from Heather Lemon, Learning Alternatives Research. Perfect.
I'm Heather Lemon. I'm a teacher here at Central Noble. I've been a teacher for 20 years. And I thank you for allowing me to take some of your time tonight. I've heard a lot of ideas from stakeholders in our district, and I'm so proud of the fact there are folks out there looking for a solution. And that's exactly what brings me to you today. I too am looking for a solution. Ways to make Central Noble better and the best it can be for our families and our students. I'm here today to ask you for permission to pursue discovery of a learning option for CN. This is an option. It's not in competition with the current model. And it's not because we're not doing a good job. It's an option for students who may need to do school differently. I have a quote hanging on my wall in my classroom that says, fairness isn't everyone getting the same, it's everyone getting what they need. And that's the target here. Meeting kids where they are. If school works for you, great. If it isn't working, we have an option that you might be interested in, and that's great too. This presentation is not meant to give you a crystal clear picture of what that option would look like, rather to give you enough information to decide whether you're in support of my continuing to research what this could look like at CN. Today, I'll provide you with a look at the problem that this addresses, how it's a solution, how we'll know if it's effective, and the cost question. So the problem or problems that I see a learning option addressing is that one size fits all doesn't actually fit all when it comes to competition or education or just about anything. One size fits all doesn't fit all. Community and student partnerships could be strengthened with this option. Our attendance rate in 2024 was reported at 79.2%. And we're ranked 292nd in all Indiana high schools. That's the 67th percentile. And our minority enrollment is at 5%. And student apathy is at an all-time high in my teaching career. There is a need for something different for some learners. So how is this a solution? First, I need to say very clearly that this is not in any way in competition with anything or anyone else at Central Noble. We have some fantastic teachers doing fantastic work. But this is an option for those whose school just doesn't fit for. It's a solution because it's rooted in the district's strategic plan. There are 12 objectives listed in the district's strategic plan. 7 of the 12 could be met by providing an option to do school differently. The 5 not included are things that the admin would be responsible for, such as training teachers and staff or implementing a two-way communication system. In the interest of time, I'm not going to walk you through each of those 7 objectives today, but I do have them prepared and I'm happy to talk to you about those at a later time if you're interested. This is a solution because this is a strategy to serve kids who opt out of public school or kids within our building that the traditional model is not working for. It's also a solution to increase attendance. When learning is joyful, students want to be at school. How will we know this works? In my mind, this should be implemented and data collected. In doing so, a multi-year pilot that collects and analyzes data will aid in discovering the effectiveness. It's not something we should just do to do. We should make sure that it's working. And finally, the cost question. I would like to explore zero cost options for the district to put this into place with the goal of better serving our current students, bringing students back to CN, and attracting new students to our district. In closing, I would like to ask for your permission to continue to explore offering an option to Central Noble Junior Senior High students and families beginning the 26-27 school year or sooner if possible. Thank you.
Questions, comments?
No, I support the idea. So I think with school choice not being something that we can offer, or that's coming to our school district one way or another, if we can be ahead of it and offer school choice within our district, I think it makes sense. Especially if it doesn't cost us anything. I agree with you that we could maybe do something a little different, maybe draw some of the homeschool kids in, maybe some other kids in, or alternate ways for students to explore education here. So I don't know what that process looks like, and how long do you think you need to kind of gather some of those things? So we want to have probably a public works meeting to kind of discuss what you found, so the community also kind of hears what it is too. Like, what would be the time frame?
You tell me and I'll be ready.
Do you think by like the November meeting?
Sure.
That gives us a little time over to kind of think about things like that.
Yeah. Sooner if you need me to be.
Sounds good. We plan on November meeting then.
And we'll get a public works meeting going somewhere in that time and have a discussion about what you find and specifically the cost options and some models of education that maybe could exist as like what were you talking like school within a school, right?
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to bring you a full-on presentation of?
I think we can all probably work together on bring what you find and we'll kind of pick through it. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
What that looks like.
Okay. So I can continue to research and we'll work together as we go forward.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Okay, I think it's interesting.
All right, we'll move on to consent items. Approval of minutes from the May 19th regular and executive session and the May 27th special and executive session meetings. Approval of the May 9th and May 23rd payroll and claims from May 20th through June 16th. Personnel, acceptance of retirement of Charlie Weiss, Buildings and Grounds. Acceptance of resignation of Corey Sexton, CN Elementary Para. Fawn Alexander, CN Elementary Clerical Assistant. Jordan Pearson, first grade teacher. Chelsea Weeks, Junior Senior High Para. Gretchen Schott, Junior High Cross Country Coach. Ryan Uhl, sub bus driver. Gretchen Schott, CN Elementary Special Education Teacher. And then we also have a recommendation to hire Linford Yoder and Laura Scott as fall athletic supervisors. Tony Howe as junior senior high English teacher. That'll be a 3-period day for him. And then Pam Ellett as CN Elementary Clerical Assistant. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. Action items. Recommendation to approve employee handbooks. The classified employees 9-month, classified employees 12-month, and then the bus driver handbook. Do I have a motion?
I have some paper to make on that. So for the handbooks, they were separated for 12-month versus 9-month classified employees. There's a lot of policies that apply to one group exclusively, and it just made more sense to separate them. While the policies that apply to both remain identical throughout that. In there, a clause was added that the corporation may elect to hire using a staffing agency for up to a 90-day probationary period. It's not a requirement that will lock us into using staffing agency for every hire, but was added so there's no questioning of the validity of using the staffing agency. Changed language that mentioned 9-month staff being seasonal because they're technically not seasonal, to language about reasonable assurance between school breaks. There was a clause added to the FMLA policy, clearly stating that employees on FMLA leave cannot work extra paid duties while on leave from the normal duties. In the past, we've had a couple instances of staff continuing to coach while on FMLA leave from the regular position. So we're just clarifying that if they're on that, they can't be paid at all. And updated the resignation policy to clarify that leave time cannot be used to extend employment, and resigning as a result of disciplinary action or corporation requested resignations are ineligible for being paid for accumulated leave time. And then added a security camera access and use policy to all 3 handbooks. So those were the big change or major changes that were in those.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0. Recommendation to approve the Albion Walk Zone expansion.
Okay, so you've gotten last board meeting from Amy, kind of the outline of what that would expand to. Really, it's expanding back to the original walk zone that used to be in place. It added went from 0.75 miles to 0.81 miles to walk. So not a whole, a block or two of walking. One of the big things that came up was whether we needed a crossing guard or how that worked. I talked with Mr. Cole several times. We were looking at state statute and had asked the town had money for an extra crossing guard, which they're in the same boat as us, they don't. So went through looking and talking with our legal counsel. One of the things we can do is provide a staff member there for a while and maybe the entire year at the crosswalk at 8 and 9 to help kids across safely. So there'd be a crosswalk helper, not necessarily a crossing guard that won't be stopping traffic. They'll just sit there and wait and help kids across safely when they walk down to that collection point. Scott, am I missing anything? I think that was it.
Pretty much what we talked about. We did have a stoplight change this summer or this spring, everybody saw. So the stoplight is no longer an automatic light. The button has to be pushed. So depending on the age of the kids, that's what the helper's for, is to kind of educate how they can get across the street. It is a much safer crossing according to the state. It's automated with a lot of features, but I did explain those to your superintendent, and it seems like that's the answer, at least for right now. It's worth giving it a try. So if you guys are willing to do that with a helper or an educator at the stoplight, that'd be great.
Do you have a motion? Second?
Can I ask a quick question without interrupting about that? So is it gonna be at 8 and 9? Is that where it is? Right at the stoplight will be the cross?
The stoplight.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. Recommendation to approve Northeast Indiana Special Education Cooperative Joint Services Agreement.
This is just our agreement with the co-op for our special education services that we do every year with the other 13 schools in the surrounding counties. Or 12 now.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. All right, recommendation to approve first reading of ISBA policy repeal. This is to remove the standard tag policy as it is now, no longer valid due to the changes from the state making it a competitive grant. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? It passes 3-0. Alright. Moving right along, recommendation to suspend the rules to allow for a second reading of the ISBA policy repeal. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Passes 3-0. Recommendation to approve second reading of ISBA policy repeal. Do I have,
That's just a repeat of the last one.
is that a repeat of the last one?
Yeah.
It is a repeat of the last. Okay.
No, it's the second reading.
So,
No, this is worded wrong.
No, it's not.
We had first reading, suspending rules, and then second reading.
So, yeah, so,
Oh, thank you.
do I have a motion?
I'll move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. Recommendation to approve first reading of updated ISBA policies. These are all the updates or to current or newly created policies out of legislation from the ISBA.
So I have those policies. So policy 1103 is just an update to the board member compensation. It basically is just stating that the board of trustees by resolution every year should determine the amount of salary and per diem each member will receive for services performed as a board member. And that's not to exceed the limitations established by Indiana law. Policy 2003 is updating language to the superintendent evaluation, just lays out when and how the evaluation of the superintendent should happen. 3210 is the use of school equipment. So it changed some language that corporation-owned equipment may be loaned for community use or taken off-site by staff or students if it supports educational or job-related tasks as approved by the superintendent. All users are fully responsible for the equipment's care, return, and any damage or loss. And the use of that must not interfere with the equipment's primary educational purpose. 4018 was updated language on transfer students. Really just put in there that the board allows non-resident student transfers based on available space with priority given to children of school employees who meet the criteria. All transfer applicants must provide their own transportation, meet behavioral and attendance standards, and may be subject to a public random selection if the demand exceeds the capacity. All transfer requests, this was one of the big ones, must be made prior to February 1st. And then final placements determined by prior academic history may be adjusted after enrollment based on further evaluation. 4220 was just updating emergency medications that the school corporation may stock and administer emergency medications such as albuterol, epinephrine, and naloxone. Not sure if I said that right. To respond to life-threatening emergencies or suspected opioid overdoses involving students, staff, or visitors. Trained employees may administer those medications under a physician's order, following protocols for acquisition, training, storage, and emergency response. And then employees acting in good faith and in accordance with policy and training are protected from liability. 4300 is student discipline rules. These were all mainly changes in wording. It took out administrator and changed it to school administrators and added an S to it. It also took out the up to verbiage and gave a specific number of days for removal by a teacher from class as 1. And it changed from not to exceed 10 days language on a suspension and made the language up to 10 days for that language. And then student truancy or attendance and truancy 4320. The policy now aligns with Indiana codes and it lays out how absences must be documented and entered into our SIS system. The one big change in the law is that all absences must have written documentation from a doctor, parent, etc. Or be counted as unexcused, and that documentation can be a note or email. So that is a big change that usually parents can just call in, but Now, if they're sick or go to a doctor, they have to have that note, otherwise it's an excused absence, and that is a change in the state law. And then one that was a add-on 4420, because of a new state law. This one is stating that Central Iowa Community School Corporation supports cooperation with law enforcement while upholding students' constitutional rights. Law enforcement may interview students during school hours only when necessary, and the school will attempt to notify parents beforehand, except in child abuse cases. If a parent cannot be present, the school representative will attend the interview as an advocate for the student. So those are the changes to those policies that we're looking at.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0. Recommendation to suspend the rules to allow for a second reading of updated ISBA policies.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. Recommendation to approve second reading of updated ISBA policy.
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. Recommendation to approve resolution to enter into a lease with Apple.
I'll move.
I'll second.
So that lease with
Yeah.
Apple, is actually one of our current ones. We were trying to see if we could get out of that lease, but there's a lot of schools in our situation, so they basically said we can't do that, but they did work with us. And we're getting charged no interest on that lease now. We'll still make those lease payments, but the interest on those is at 0, and that is what Apple's done for all the schools that have asked for a release from those leases.
What does that lease off?
Again, when is the lease over?
Well, so we would be entering it, actually. This would be for our staff devices, and I think it was 2028.
So staff's retaining the Apple, but the rest of them moving to Chromebooks
Yes.
for everybody else.
And so we did ask them, they said they had so many requests that they, across the board, are just denying all of them, but working with us basically as just a payment plan instead of paying for them all up front.
All right, do you have a motion again for that?
I'll move.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. All right, recommendation to approve staff stipends. Stipends are being awarded to reflect additional responsibilities and time assumed by the following existing personnel to maintain continuity of operations due to recent cuts. $10,000 to Austin Mannon for serving as athletic director, $5,000 each to Sean Hoover and Ashley Weiss for serving as assistant athletic directors, $2,000 to Megan Lordy for serving as corporation-wide ECA/athletics treasurer, $2,000 each to Jamie Howard, Liz Burkhead, and Matt Knepper for taking on corporation secretarial duties, and then $1,500 each to Linford Yoder and Laura Scott for supervising fall athletic events.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, just to refresh my memory, like, will it's fall, winter, and spring, will always be the same people, or will it rotate?
It may not miss.
Will rotate?
It could.
It could.
It
We
could
don't
be,
know.
but it may rotate.
So, do I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. Recommendation to approve health insurance plan TPA of recorded switch.
Yes, so, basically, we're with employee plans right now. They are being bought out by Allied Group, so we're gonna have a switch on August 1st anyways. So we started looking at, different options. And really, Unified Group Services, is our best option to go with. Kim and I and Liz had a conversation, with the union leadership with Tyler and Garrett. And rather than make the switch to Allied and then start looking again and then make a second switch, we decided that it was probably best to switch now. Nothing in our plan is going to change. This is just basically it's our TPA, but it's
They
our,
manage our. plan,
yeah,
basically.
they manage our plan, so it's who manages the plan is changing. There is one change, that is a benefit, and it's to our dental, and we'll go to, Delta Dental, which is, it really works out, I think, a better deal for us as a corporation as a whole.
Anyone further? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0. All right, Mr. Morgan.
All right, just a few things. One, our October meeting is falling on fall break. I think pretty much everyone is going to be gone during that time. So we want to look to move the October 27th, move the October meeting to October 27th, that week when everyone's back. So that is something that we'll have to, the next meeting, discuss and go over, but I just want to throw that out there so it's on everyone's radar. And then we heard earlier, we'll probably start looking at the time in November for a public work session to go over that. And then our solar has been almost a month up and operational. We will hopefully get our bill here and see some decreases happening. It's not been quite a month yet, but the amount kilowatts that it's made is, the average house is about 886 kilowatts per month. It's made enough energy right now to cover about 6.5 months worth of energy for one house. So it's making pretty good energy. We'll be able to get those results later and get a few months in to see how much it's actually saving. That's all that I have. Mrs. Hoover, any updates?
Congratulations to Mr. Mannon. They had their baby about 3.5 weeks early, the end of last week. So he's home being a new dad to a baby girl. This is our 2 weeks off in the summer, so we haven't been in the office, but we've been in correspondence. He is going to be attending the IHSAA training for new athletic directors now in August. He was not going to be able to attend that because that was her due date. So he's going to be attending that. Working on just a few hires here at the junior, senior high, and we'll be ready to rock and roll another week.
Mr. Taggart?
Next week, we're back at it because KIPS starts up. We'll welcome over 60 kindergarten students to our building for half days to get them prepped on what it's like to be a kindergarten student at CMP. So we're excited about that. And summer's over.
Dr. Young is fresh off of his shoulder surgery.
Just trying to get people in the right spots hired and trying to get people in their rooms and get furniture moved and everything like that, as well as trying to get our front office personnel hired. And I'm still currently looking for a special education teacher to replace the correction shop. So, I mean, that's been busy. I'll be back at work next week as well, but also some this week. So just a busy time for everybody.
What number are we at with kindergartners now?
It's hard to tell because a lot of them are not registered, but we think 79. That doesn't take into account if we've lost any, that does happen sometimes too. So hopefully by next week, we get a little better idea of right where we're at. Any comments from the board? Am I good? All right. Meeting is adjourned. 5:28.